Yes. Pierre, you're here as well.
Yes, yes, I'm here.
Good.
Hi.
Hello. Okay, so Hannah Arendt this time. Anyone who's familiar with her? Read her before, maybe? A bit, Andrea. What do you know? What do you
Uh,
know?
I read a part of the totalitarianism work,
Ah,
and I know a bit her story. I teach a bit of Arendt when I speak about Nazism and totalitarianism. Yes, so I quote them. I quote her a bit. Yeah.
mm. You like her?
uh, I didn't like her. It's not my cup of tea. Let's say it's too moral for me. But I enjoyed this text, so I was a bit surprised that I like Arendt. Yes.
Mhm. But this text, did you find it moral as well? Or not so moral?
Uh, yeah, it is moral in a way. Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
Uh,
Why was this more palatable than the other texts? You know?
uh, maybe because in the other text, since she's Jewish, she's a bit involved in the analysis of the totalism,
Mm.
and in this kind of topic, I think she's more she has a more distance in a way, and plus, I think is a very important topic nowadays more than ever.
Yeah, okay. You see, the topic is relevant. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and in a way, I think another difference is that here she's more asking questions about. Of course, you can tell she has her own idea about it, but she's more about like sharing a topic. And in the other work, she's more giving an answer in a way to a problem. So she's more giving, yeah, her perspective.
Mm. So you prefer this attitude?
Yeah, it's more open here. I think.
Yeah. Yes. But do you see her as taking a position, or she's just asking questions?
Uh, I think she. I mean, we can tell that she is taking a position. Yes, against in a way the power of technology. Uh, yes, even if it seems that she's saying that I don't know if we can do something about it. So she doesn't like it, of course, but she's considering this topic from a philosophical perspective. So
Mm-hmm. So it's not determined.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Good. So glad you enjoyed it.
yeah.
Anyone else who liked it? No. Pierre, no fan.
I don't read the text. I have no read the text. I'm tourist.
You're a tourist again. Do you have a good excuse? An interesting excuse, maybe this time. You know, I asked
No,
my
unfortunately,
student once. There was someone who came late, and I said, "You have a good excuse." And I don't want a boring excuse. I want an interesting excuse. And he said, "Yeah, I forgot about the concept of time." So I thought
it's a good.
that's good enough.
You accept.
Do you also have an interesting excuse why you didn't read
Um,
it?
uh, uh, Yeah, I don't have. Sorry. No,
Okay.
boring. Boring excuses.
Boring excuses. Yeah. The boring excuse is usually I'm too busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
So we'll see. I'll try to follow as best as you can. But Ian, you read it?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And you liked it? Or not really?
I liked, let's say, one point which she makes, which I, let's say, totally agree. And there's a sentence. It's not the last paragraph, the one before, the last sentence. The question is only whether we wish to use our new scientific and technical knowledge in this direction. And this question cannot be decided by scientific means. It is a political question of the first order, and therefore can hardly be left to the decision of professional scientists or professional politicians.
So why do you like it?
I think it's very, let's say, actual or contemporary. It, even though this text, maybe it was written in the, I don't know, 60s, I guess. But it's this question can be applied even now, because there are more and more transformations, especially in the technology, but we can see in biogenetics, in space exploration, which raise a philosophical question about human freedom or human death. Maybe we can bypass death, or responsibility that we will give or to the machines.
Yeah.
And these questions, instead of being asked and answered by philosophers, they're asked and answered by businessmen and bosses who own those corporations and those discoveries.
But this idea that you mentioned, it's permeating the text. It's not just in this sentence. You mentioned, prolonging life. She talks about this artificiality, where we go beyond our natural habitat, our natural way of life. So these questions, these philosophical questions, it's a big deal, big part of the text, no?
Yes, but at the first, let's say my first impression was that she was a little bit, let's say, a conservative, like she was against or considering this artificiality a bad thing, which in my opinion, it's not bad or good, it's something that inevitable. But in this sentence, she tries to accept this inevitability of artificial nature, rather, or artificial condition of the human, and says we need to deal as philosophers and not as businessmen. Or
Yeah, but does she accept its inevitability? This sentence.
The question is only whether we wish to use our new scientific and technological knowledge.
Yes. So does he say that it's inevitable that it will go in this direction? Or do we have a choice?
Let me see which direction is she speaking about. Okay, about rebelling against human existence.
Yeah. For instance, by prolonging life or leaving Earth. But never mind what she's talking about. when she says the question is whether we wish to do it or not, and the question should be decided by, etc., etc., then is she saying that it's inevitable that it will happen and we have to accept it, or is she saying that here we have a choice?
Mm. Yeah, I think indeed she's saying that we might have a choice,
Mhm.
but it's not necessarily that we yeah, she doesn't give an answer that we should embrace these new tendencies of leaving Earth, but neither we should deny it. We should deliberate it from a philosophical.
Indeed, yes.
Mhm.
And do you think that makes sense? Well, you said yourself you think it's inevitable. But do you think it's inevitable, or do you think it's up to us to choose it?
I think it's inevitable because with the technological progress and unless we destroy or burn all our new progress, all our rockets that are going to space, I don't see how it's how we can avoid this inevitability.
Or do you think we have to go to Mars? Or we could decide not to do it? We could tell Elon Musk, no, we're not interested. You go if you like, but
we could decide not to do it, but I think this will be something like bad fate, or
how? Explain.
That we know this is possible, but we don't do it. Maybe here the reason why would we choose not to do it.
Yeah. But how is that bad faith?
Because you you know that you can go, you can let's say actualize your freedom of exploring new space, and let's say in the future the population will grow and we will need to have other planet or whatever, and not to take this chance, this possibility will be to, let's say, adopt a vision of the human nature, of the human condition, as the one that should stay on Earth and not go outside Earth. So it's based on a concept of human nature which limits freedom, and which is not based on freedom to redefine human nature.
Yeah. So you see it as freedom to leave Earth and colonize Mars.
Yes, but
But if it is inevitable, and if we do it because we are too many here, then is it a sign of freedom to go to Mars, or is it a necessity that we're forced to do?
Yeah, it's a good. I'm thinking if I'm when I'm eating, am I eating out of freedom or because I need to?
What's the answer?
So yeah, I think it's rather not sure.
Well, can it be, if we take the eating example, can it be that sometimes you eat out of necessity and sometimes you eat purely based on your freedom to eat.
Yes, yeah, it can be, let's say, both, but fundamentally it's necessity.
Yeah, fundamentally, you need to eat if you want to stay alive. Yes.
Yes. I mean,
And
there are some.
if you just eat anything because you're so hungry, maybe it's more of a necessity. But if you just eat something because you feel like it, even if you just ate, then maybe you're more accepting your freedom to stuff your mouth with something.
Yes, and with Mars, it could be curiosity that can act as freedom, or desire to see is it possible or not life outside Earth, or let's test this human condition, which Arendt talks about or not.
Mm.
Necessity will be the other factor when Earth becomes overpopulated.
Yeah.
But I think it's still more towards freedom, that you have a possibility that allows you to get out of this constraint, of some constraints.
Mm.
And to deny this, to close the door, in this sense, I think will be bad freedom, like to forget you can go there, or to choose.
Yeah. But if it's more like freedom, then it's not so much an inevitability that it will happen. If you now define it as freedom.
I'm more talking about the progress that will allow us to go. But the freedom part is in deciding to actually go or not.
Yeah, we're not bound to do it.
Exactly.
Yes.
But the means to do it.
It will happen. Even if we have the possibility to choose not to, you think, no, it's going to happen.
I tend to say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to agree. I think it will happen as well.
Maybe it will happen because these decisions will not be debated by philosophers, but
yeah, indeed. If Elon Musk can do it, he will do it. And Jeff Bezos and all the other guys with the money and middle-age crisis. Yeah, of course they will build a rocket and do it. So it will happen, and then people will want to follow. Yeah, but essentially, you don't like her position here of being against this. You're not against it yourself.
Yeah, I liked it's still vague. I need to read the subtleties to understand if she's because right now when we discussed, she doesn't seem to be against it, but she rather seems to say, let's take a philosophical pause to reflect on what's happening with this advance of know-hows and technology and knowledge in terms of operations and calculations, which tends to get away or to depart from thinking. And she rather says, let's try not forget thinking or confuse thinking with calculations and know-hows. And I like the multiple examples she gives.
Yeah.
The satellite, the quantum physics, the.
But if we look at the idea of leaving Earth, you think she's for it, against it, or she says she doesn't take a position? She says, let's think about it.
Mhm. Uh, I'm not sure. I don't think she's taken a position.
Yeah.
Uh,
Let's see with the others. Anyone who thinks that she's taking a position here regarding whether we should leave Earth or not. Sven, what do you think?
I think she's against it. I read this as a warning.
Where do you see it that she's against it?
Um, let me try to find a good quote. Well, she sees leaving Earth and the desire for humans to change themselves, to sort of continue developing themselves unnaturally. I think she sees these both as a rebellion against human existence. And she frames this as negative. I can give one example right at the end where she says, in the last sentence, if it should turn out to be true that knowledge and thought have parted company for good, then we would indeed become helpless slaves, not so much of our machines as of our know-how, thoughtless creatures at the mercy of every gadget which is technically possible, no matter how murderous it is.
Yeah.
I think it shows that she's, in general, about all these type of advances, she's very skeptical and worried that it will lead to negative things.
Yeah. And these quotes that she mentions in the beginning
Yes.
from a newspaper, this is the first step towards escape from man's imprisonment to the earth. And then the Russian one, mankind will not remain bound to the earth forever. As well, do you see her being critical towards these ideas?
Yes. She seems sort of in a way quite surprised and disappointed by them. In the last paragraph of the first page, she says the earth is the very quintessence of the human condition, and earthly nature, for all we know, may be unique in the universe. So I think she sees wanting to change ourselves and wanting to leave Earth as a going against something that's our essence.
Yes. So Ian, what do you think? Does this make sense?
I think she's, I would say her more skeptical rather than against.
You're skeptical, are you more against the idea or more for the idea?
I would say, yeah, neutral you cannot be. It's rather, more towards against. You don't embrace it on the first perception encountering. You pause. And actually, I've seen this sentence: the human artifice of the world separates human existence from all mere animal environment. But life itself is outside this artificial world. And through life, man remains related to all other living organisms.
Yeah. So what does this mean?
So she implies that life cannot exist in an artificial dimension.
Yeah.
That
And if we set up a base on Mars, do we lose our connection to all other living organisms?
we can create our life there, or take the life from Earth and
Wow.
make it there.
You think you can make Mars a new Earth?
Yeah, I think what Hannah Arendt is trying to say that, let's say, nature has created man, and she bases her critique or skepticism toward this artificiality on this concept of nature.
And leaving Earth, as Hannah Arendt sees it, leaving Earth, going into space, is that part of this artificiality of disconnecting from other living organisms?
Yes, disconnecting from, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
About what?
These living organisms, I think she's talking about Earth, about.
Yes. Yeah.
So her assumption is that living Earth will be losing connection with life.
Indeed, yes. Losing connection to all the living organisms which we are related to.
Yes. So
Separating us from the animal environment. And then we will be part of an artificial world, no longer a natural world. So does she sound like she sees it more as a negative thing, or as a positive thing?
Yes. And this paragraph, when she talks about leaving Earth, this idea, she's more negative.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, probably this part, I didn't like it.
No. So let's see, anyone else? Oh, Ian, he wants to somehow retain her neutrality. Okay, this part, she's negative, but anyone who can show that she's really against this artificiality in general, this technological innovation. Or maybe that she isn't. Yeah, Andrea.
Okay, I had a little disconnection, but I think I understood your question.
Mm-hmm.
I think Anna Arendt is showing her idea about this tendency of the human being to produce technology, and in order to be autonomous from Earth and from life on Earth. For example, when she speaks about at the beginning, when she speaks about the two statements, like step toward escape from man imprisonment to the Earth. Just after, she writes, and this strange statement.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the adjective strange reveals a bit our position.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think is strange in this quote? Or what do you think she finds strange?
I think she finds strange the idea that Earth is a prison.
Yeah.
Instead of considering Earth our mother. So in a way, it's like if we are about to commit a matricide. Yeah, matricide. Yeah. It's a bit strange because instead of be with our mother, we prefer to kill her. So or to escape from her in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she mentions this as well in the next paragraph.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
first we left God the Father, and now we're going to leave Earth the Mother.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we are killing our parents basically. Yes. And plus, I think I saw something else before. Oh yeah, when she wrote the immediate reaction, just 2 lines before, where she wrote strange statement.
Mm-hmm.
In a way that she's saying that she considers that statement, step toward escape from blah blah blah, an immediate reaction. And I don't think the adjective immediate is positive. She's using, I don't think she's using it in a positive way. It's
Yeah.
like we are reacting like by impulse, but we are not thinking yet. Yeah.
Yeah. And what would this imply then? That this comment would be an immediate reaction rather than thinking. What does that say about the person who said it?
That is more instinctive than rational.
Yeah. But what does it say about his worldview? If his instinctive reaction is this comment.
That is wrong. Maybe.
Well, if you don't value it, if we just see what kind of person would instinctively, without thinking, talk about Earth as a prison? Why? Since you brought up this immediate reaction, why do you think this makes it even stranger or even more dark or whatever?
Oh, okay. Maybe because it's even stranger the fact that this kind of sentence is being confirmed from Russia's great scientists. So in a way, I think it could imply that scientists are not the right people to decide what to do with this technology and with Earth, because they are rather impulsive and instinctive than rational, even if they're scientists.
Yeah. Yes. And the instinctive idea would be that we have to leave.
Oh yeah, escape. Escape is instinctive. Yes.
Yeah.
Reaction. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Indeed. Yeah. Okay. Good. Does anyone else want to add something to this? Yeah, Sven.
This Andrea mentioned this word matricide, and it just made it clear to me that it's really it shows how much people okay, in a time when it's becoming very clear how human beings are killing the world, that at the same time people really want to go to Mars. They invest a lot of resources into leaving the Earth that we are killing, instead of trying to, I don't know, reverse that process.
What's your conclusion?
My conclusion is that I guess I sort of share what I see as Hannah Arendt's deep concern about the state of man's mind that leads him to do this. Actually, I don't know if she has the concern about the state of man's mind, but well, I think she does.
Yeah, well, by reading this, do you think she's happy about this state of mind?
No, she's not.
No.
Yeah, and
And you share her concern.
Yeah, I share a concern. And this sense of wanting to escape, seeing Earth as a prison, it's in a way it's blaming Earth for your suffering. It's blaming your environment for your suffering. It's just another way of trying to find some other thing outside of yourself to put the responsibility for your life onto. And if you blame the Earth, then it makes sense to want to leave the Earth because you think that's the source of your suffering.
What kind of suffering would that be, which makes you want to leave Earth? You know, if you have personal problems, it's not going to help to leave Earth. You take it with you.
Yeah, maybe it's this. Then it's on the level of a not believing that. Ironically, then it's maybe a deep worry about humanity. If you want to leave Earth, then you want to get away from the mass of humanity. Maybe that's why for Russian scientists of the early 20th century, I mean, I think it was not easy at any point in most of the 20th century in Russia for most people. So I can sort of see how somebody who lives in such chaotic environment of war and change would want to escape, because that's to them, that is the world, is just strife. And
yeah, but then what about a rich white man of the US in the 1950s? Why would they want to leave?
Yeah, I think they have another type of, I think they're wanting to leave and wanting to do that is more a reaction to, you mentioned it, a sort of midlife crisis, not being able to find satisfaction in themselves, a deep dissatisfaction and a restlessness that comes from having constantly, you get more and more power and wealth, but you realize that there's no satisfaction. So you keep on, you get a car, then you want a helicopter, then you want a plane, and then you want a rocket. The never-ending spiral of desire and not being able to satisfy your desires.
Yeah. But can you also try to find a positive reason for this? Going into space, not in order to get away from some terrible.
There's the positive side would be to explore. I think there's a curiosity. There's that is also, I think, inherent to human natures, this desire to explore, to broaden horizons, to find new, basically new sources of food in all kinds of food sustenance, but also mental sustenance. So I think that's the sort of positive side of it.
Yes. And considering the human condition, do you think this, like Ian says, is inevitable? this curiosity, this exploration drive makes it so that we're going to do it.
No, I think consciousness, or let's say culture, cultural values play a big role. I think if cultural values change significantly enough, that people rather value conserving nature on Earth than exploring the space by a minority of people being able to go to space, then they will find ways to. It's conceivable that they can find ways to prevent that sort of development, that sort of progress from taking place, because they value other things and they don't want people to be free to use resources in that way.
So you have hope for planet Earth. You don't think we're going to just leave it at abandonment?
No, I don't think there's a realistic other option for us. I mean, there's no sign that there's really, as she says, as Hannah Arendt says, a place where we can breathe and be without artifice. There's nothing close enough to us. And so I don't, yeah, I have hope that we'll try to make it, continue making it better here.
All right, good. So let's see. Yeah, before I get to you, Ian, now, Pierre, do you have an insight into this and an idea about this man's desire to leave Earth?
Yes, it makes me echoes with Montessori. I don't know if you know this woman, Montessori. It's an education woman. And she said that one of the tendency of human being is adventure. So it's so going outside the earth, I think it's impossible to stop. So yes, exploration, like said Sven, is something like in ourselves. We need it. We constitute of this need of exploration. Humanity in general. It's my thinking echoes with Montessori, who said that. And I think it can be a good thing if you leave it with conscious. The problem is, again, is conscious. But exploration in itself, it's not so bad. Yeah.
Yeah. And right now, do you think it's made consciously? Not so much.
Not so much. Yeah. It's egocentric. It's to take power. It's about power. Power, but on material way, not power on yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So this idea then, the question is not something we should leave to scientists or even professional politicians. It's much more fundamental than this. Is it something you can agree with?
Yes, yes. And you can say that exploration is philosophical also. Philosophical, there is some evolution because we explore. We explore all the time. So yes, I think it's scientific have to combine with a philosopher, an artistic person, and other yes, other people. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so fundamentally, you think it's a good thing?
Yes.
inside.
Yes. There is a concept also who goes with this exploration is insatisfaction,
Yeah.
because it's constitutive also of our nature to have insatisfaction.
But then the exploration, does it cause satisfaction? Or it's just a futile way of becoming satisfied, but it's
But
it happens. So we just keep exploring, 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 in the hope of becoming satisfied, but no, the desire will never be ultimately met.
I don't hear a connection is not good.
All right. So this desire to explore, then, do you think this desire can never be fulfilled, or it will always keep us unsatisfied? So we believe that we can sate our insatisfaction by exploring more and more and more, but no, it will never work. So we just need to keep exploring more and more and more, and we will never be satisfied. So does it sound like a positive thing, or
it depends on how you live it. If you live the process, like thinking process, it's fine. If you want the result, then it's not fine because you will never satisfy. But the process of exploring is in itself makes sense. I mean, you take pleasure in it. You discover, you see beautiful things, you understand better, you are surprised, there is astonishment. So exploration in the process is good. But what we do now with exploration is pretty stressful. Or we have too much power. We can kill the earth also, explode. So yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay, so Ian, you wanted to add something?
Yes, that also Hannah Arendt makes this distinction in the second paragraph we talked about, distinction between the joy of adventure or of discovery and insatisfaction. And precisely when she says about this immediate reaction, that the first reaction was not that of joy, what probably she was expecting, but that the affirmation that it's the step toward escape from man's imprisonment to the earth. So it was like, oh, finally we can get out of this planet, as if it's the worst planet on universe. So that's her puzzlement, and she reiterates the same idea down the text, where she speaks about the life as being free gift. I mean, the view on life, let me read the sentence. This future man, whom the scientists tell us they will produce in no more than 100 years, seems to be possessed by a rebellion against human existence, as it has been given, a free gift from nowhere, secularly speaking, which he wishes to exchange, as it were, for something he has made himself. So I think her, let's say, critique is against this attitude, this switch of attitudes towards human life and life in general, Earth, that instead of viewing it as a gift and enjoying it, we view it, let's say, as arrogant, dissatisfied people who, this is not enough, will go for something more, something grander. So
And
yeah, I see here
you mentioned it in relation to leaving Earth. Can you see the same tendency in the people who want to prolong life? Now they're talking about maybe we can live 1,000 years and so on. Can you see the same negative rather than positive aspect of this?
yes, it's it's in relation to life in general, whether it's about living life on Earth or prolonging our life or modifying.
But what would be the negative aspect of wanting to prolong life? I mean, what kind of negativity is it that guides the people who want to extend life to 1,000 years?
Probably fear of death,
Yeah.
and this, let's say, rather than working with your fear of death, of being free of it, you avoid it by prolonging life and all those science fiction. Actually, now they might not be so fiction scenarios. So it's this negativity. It's I think, again, losing some kind of freedom, or yeah, basically it's fear of death and attachment to this fear of death.
Yeah, already Seneca talked about this tendency to just value the length of life rather than the content of life. And he mentions, sometimes, he said, sometimes people say, well, an old man died, and they say, yeah, well, at least he was 80 years old. And Seneca says, yeah, well, did he live for 80 years, or did he just stay alive for 80 years? If you live for 30 years, that can be better than staying alive for 80. So are you really living when you're living, or are you just a dead person surviving?
Yeah.
Maybe you should focus on the quality of life rather than the length of it.
You keep avoiding doing what's important for you, what's valuable. You'd say, okay, with this new technology, I'll still have another 100 years to live, so I can do it tomorrow. So I think it's the second negative aspect, other than this attachment to fear of death, is in viewing, let's say, the value of death.
What would be the value of that?
Well, it can have well, first value, it's making you, if you think about this life as finite, you if you contemplate your limited, things that are valuable to you starts to jump in front of your eyes. So you prioritize, and you live a meaningful life, not just do one task after another. And the second, it might be, let's say, faith or belief that this life is just, let's say, one journey, one experience that I live, and maybe after that it's something else, maybe not, but at least I'm not so attached to this life. So it gives also the value in that will be detachment.
Yeah. So the negative aspects that she's seeing here is not the joy of exploration that Pierre talked about. It's rather fear of the earthly prison, fear of the earthly body, fear of death, wanting to escape rather than explore something new.
Yeah, it's fear of, I think, of the finitude or limit of human. And it's this compulsive reaction, not adventurous, because I'm thinking, for example, when a scientist discover things, he doesn't do out of a certain fear or insatiability, but rather of this joy of when a child sees something new or discovers a new game. It's this pure spontaneous joy. and she rather critiques this never enough aspect of human.
Yes. Yeah. Good.
So yeah, here it's it's getting clear her, let's say, position.
It's getting clear, yes. Yeah, indeed. Okay, fine. I just want to just point to the end here, where she talks about being helpless slaves, not so much of our machines as of our know-how. Anyone who has an idea what this means? So now, if what we do becomes so complicated with the new science and so on that we cannot really talk about it, then there is some kind of split between our thinking and our doing, and then we will become slaves, not to the machines, but to the know-how. And we would need machines to do our thinking for us. So then what does that mean? We need machines to do the thinking for us, but we will not primarily be slaves to the machines. We will be slaves to the know-how. Anyone who can explain what this means? No? Andrea, you want to give it a try?
Yeah, I'll try. I'll try to explain it with a metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
Is let's say it's like a person who is very good to do something, and this person is so focused in doing, and that she keep doing, and at one point she's not able to stop it anymore. So in a way, it's like if humanity is so involved in the progress and technology and new stuff and doing stuff and know how to do it, that is forgetting the capacity of deciding, of thinking, and or trying to understanding what is doing. So it is a kind of an addiction that it's like, and when you are addicted, you are a slave in a way. You are not a person who a free. So I think I don't know, maybe that's my intent to explain that sentences. Yeah.
So in this case, the know-how that we become slave to is what is this know-how, do you think, that she's talking about? This knowledge, this know-how.
I think is that knowledge and technology together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's our capabilities to make to do stuff, to invent stuff, to to improve technology and to provide new inventions.
And how can it be that we lose our ability to think and speak about this? How does that work?
Yeah, in the metaphor I propose is that you are so involved in the actions that you are you do, but you don't think anymore.
Okay, so it's not an inability to understand, it's rather you get caught up in the action and you stop thinking.
Yeah. It reminds me when I was swimming as like kind of professional, and I remember that at one point I wanted to quit like for many times, but it was easier to go on and go on. Even if I was struggling with swimming and was a big effort like for my day life, but in a way it was easier to go on and not to decide what to do with my life or like to change a direction. So in a way, my habit and my actions was taking over me, and I was a slave of my own addiction to swim, let's say. And I think it's something similar here with technology and with the know-how. Yeah.
Yeah. So then the machines which will do our thinking for us, could that idea also fit in your metaphor? She says we would, from now on, we would indeed need artificial machines to do our thinking and speaking.
Yes, I think so.
Does it work?
What?
So how would it work in your metaphor?
That at one point you cannot help it, so you keep going, but you create an external system that in a way decide for you, or like select you to go on or to stop it. And by the way, that's what happened with me, that at one I was able to quit with swimming because the society I was in basically pushed me out. Yeah. But so in a way I had to become bad and worse as a swimmer in order to make the society decide to quit with me. Yeah. So in a way, it's the responsibility. Yeah. So there is a you don't decide, but you make something else decide instead of you. And I think maybe the technology could decide what to do with humanity and with progress and with all the problem we are not dealing rationally.
Yeah. But the fundamental problem then would not be the artificial machines, but our knowledge or know-how that is running away. Because she says that we won't be slaves to the machines, we will be slaves to our own know-how.
Yes. Yeah. So maybe not to decide is a way to decide. to become slave in a way, yeah. Because it's like if we are deciding to submit ourselves to an external power, which is technology. Yeah. So in a way, we are deciding to give up our freedom and not to deal with that fundamental problem, which is that one you mentioned before.
Yes. Okay.
So we are deciding not to be free in a way, which is a kind of freedom.
Yeah. Again, everything is a decision.
Yes.
If you're a French existentialist, you make decisions all the time. Every time you open your mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anyone want to comment on this? Yeah, Jan?
Yeah, maybe another idea about this sentence that Arendt makes a distinction, I mentioned before, between knowledge and thinking. And it reminded me about this debate, a scientific debate between Einstein and quantum physics of Bohr and Heisenberg. And Einstein, he tried to, let's say, visualize all the formulas, all the abstract procedures. He tried like to give a visual representation and also kind of the vision of the world, of the universe, how it is. So Einstein was he was a Spinozist. While with quantum physics, this representation and this vision, it wasn't there, but the formulas were correct. Experiments which followed afterwards were correct, and even the technology, a lot of technology that we have now is based on quantum mechanics. But the vision, the more global vision about the world or the being, which this quantum mechanics might apply to, is missing. So I think when there is a mismatch between scientific formulas and experiments and engineering and the concept of being, which those are applying to, I think here is when our understanding just is paralyzed. It just says, well, it functions. Well, it doesn't matter what's the being which makes it function.
Yeah, and it's what's mentioned in this quote by Schrödinger in the text. In the last paragraphs.
The moment these truths are spoken of conceptually and coherently, the resulting statements will be not perhaps as meaningless as triangular circle, but much more so than a winged lion.
Yeah, she says they can be demonstrated mathematically, proved technologically. But when you try to speak about them conceptually, coherently, it will be, not as strange as a triangular circle, maybe, but it will look stranger than a winged lion.
So
it's a bit the same idea, which you explained.
Yeah? Yes, that speaking comes from understanding. So if you fail to understand, of course you fail to articulate the reality which those mathematical formulas describe. And if you, let's say, if you ignore this part of thinking being and speaking it, and just say, well, why do we need that? The formula works, new technology is being developed, our life, let's say material life, is better. I mean, who cares about if reality is determinate or indeterminate?
Yeah, but she's also saying not just that we don't care about it, but it no longer lends itself to normal expression. So when these things are so complicated, we cannot even talk about them in normal speech. Like try to explain quantum physics, and it's just weird. What do you mean? Two particles each on opposite sides of the universe, and whatever happens to the one happens to the other at the same time. It's stranger than a winged lion when you try to talk about it like this. And mathematically, okay, fine, it works out, but talk about it, it's just weird.
Probably a philosopher like Hegel could have talked about it.
I don't know if Hegel makes any sense when you try to read him.
Yeah, probably that's the reason that he's worse than quantum
Yeah,
physics. But
indeed, he is.
uh,
I put a note in my Hegel, it will console me. Hegel is worse than quantum physics.
uh, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if she's talking about a limit of thinking, or rather, let's say, a lack of effort or a fascination more with this know-how rather than with thinking about the being. So again, she gives here a warning that we'll become slaves. I mean, not because the machine will overtake us, but because we'll stop thinking, being. We'll stop asking ourselves what is being, asking this this question continually, and it should be asked when the technology advances.
But then the problem is, if the technology is so advanced that we cannot even think about it in ordinary terms. It can be calculated, it can be done by machines, by AIs or whatever, but it's too complex for any normal person to really understand, express in normal speech. So then you could have a gap between the knowledge and thinking.
Yeah, I think this, well, she says that the precondition for us to leave this thing to machine is when knowledge and thought have parted company for good.
Yeah.
So if it should turn out to be true that knowledge and thought have parted company for good, then we will indeed become helpless slaves. And so I'm not sure. I think in principle, thought cannot be delegated to machines. In principle, it's done by consciousness, by
Indeed, thought is not relegated to the machines, but the know-how is
yes. And when we confuse those two, or when we forget about thought, about thinking, and say, okay, only knowledge matters, it's at this point when we become helpless slaves.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure if she's giving up on thinking or declares thinking impotent.
I don't think she's given up on thinking, but she's raising a warning, right? What might
Yes,
happen if we're not careful.
she's skeptical but not pessimistic, I would say.
Huh?
She doesn't see humanity as without a chance.
Well, no, not without a chance. No, it's not inevitable for her. But indeed, she sees the risks. So let's check.
Yes, so that's,
let's check with
I think for every, let's say, for every scientist, new scientific discovery, there should be like a philosopher or a philosopher of science. I remember there was a metaphor that one of my philosophy teachers says that the philosopher of science, or rather the philosopher doesn't do science. He asks the legitimacy paper from the scientist. Like, what's the legitimacy, the rational legitimacy on which your theory is based, or your domain?
Yeah.
When you're doing physics, is it about only matter, space, and energy? It's not about consciousness or moral topics. So the philosopher should always be like a reminder of the legitimacy of the science. And when that is missing, we become those helpless slaves.
Yeah. Okay, so in this case, she has a point.
As a philosopher, yes.
Yes, okay. You have to admit it, yeah. But Pierre, you were raising your hand.
Yes, it's because there is, I think, in history, a switch where the philosopher can't be possible to have global view with different science. I don't remember, but I have the idea of 12 or uh, 13 siècle, century, because there are so many discovering in technology and so many complex add in humanity that having a global idea of the world and different combination, it's just impossible for the human mind.
Yeah.
So it's just a thinking that it's too late. I mean, it's impossible to take all the encyclopedia knowledge to have a big picture. So we are condemned to be specialized, and yeah, it's just a thinking that the how the how now would be always superior in quantity than um, I suppose thinking philosophy or yeah. Yeah.
Indeed.
I am clear or I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
sure
yeah.
to be clear. Yeah.
Indeed, it's impossible to have complete knowledge of the world.
Yes.
But is it possible that to have lots of different specialists getting together, each one specialist in his little area?
Yeah. Yes.
The way of getting out of this, no, we have to give it up to the machines.
Sure. Yes. Yes. Yes, but yeah. But the conscious is if you too much. Edgar Morin. I don't know if you know the guy. Edgar Morin is a French guy who say that in education we have to create some links between different how say it subjects, geography, history, because we have to have the big picture, at least a small one, but to have not to be too much specialized. And this is one of the challenge of our humanity, is to make education something global, to have global idea and not just specialized idea, because we how is about specialization. You have your how no, and we use your how no. People use your how no. But if you have a global idea of what is humanity, where we go, and blah blah blah, you can yeah, be a little more free. You yeah.
But you just said that the global idea, it's impossible nowadays.
Yes, yes. Yeah, but
Maybe when you think you have a global idea, maybe it's an illusion. So superficial that it's maybe it
yeah.
lost contact with the reality.
Yes, it's impossible. But what is possible is to create some connection between area, even if you can't have the unity of uh, this link, but creating link is making thoughts.
Yeah.
If you are just in your area, it's not a living process. It's inner process. There is no life. You're stuck with your small area. Crippling, even if you can't do with all the things, it makes sense because there is some fluidity, and then there is some movement and thinking. So the how no is more dead. If you are thick with the how no, then you are in a way it's dead. It's like a cell in one mechanical structure. Doesn't move. It's
But
rigid.
if you connect lots of these, and you get a sort of hive mind, where like one single ant is rather stupid. You can only carry a leaf or something, carry a bit of straw. But if you have all the ants together, then you can create a functioning society, build termite stacks and everything, very advanced structures. So each individual is extremely stupid, but the collection of thousands or millions of individuals together create some kind of consciousness.
Mm. So you think people stupid together makes people
Yeah, I think so.
less.
Thousands of stupid people getting together. Yeah, I think it can be better than everyone's idiots working individually.
Okay. I'm not sure of it, but if you put like 10 people stupid together, there is war. No?
Yeah. By now, you maybe you're confusing stupid and evil.
Yes.
Stupid.
Yes. Okay.
But yeah. Well, the idea is that a large group of individuals who cannot do much, each one singular,
Yeah.
but together it creates a totality which is so much more than the individual parts. And if you look at some of these structures, termite stacks and so on, they're extremely complicated. And it's impossible to realize how can stupid termites build something like this. But somehow when they all get together, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, okay, different from human consciousness and different from the thinking that we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You never saw that in your classroom? 25 stupid students together. They become smart.
Yeah. Yes. I think it's not possible to be stupid. It's just you're lazy, you don't want, or whatever. So yeah, it makes sense to make stupid people, and then it creates things. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah. Anyone else? Andrea?
Yeah, by listening your conversation and also by reading this text, I was wondering what's gonna happen. I think it's a nice question to ask ourselves. Since we have for sure we have less time than Anne Arendt times she was writing this text. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit split about the answer. For example, by looking at history, human history, I think is easy to spot this kind of human tendency to go beyond the limits. So every time we invent something, I think we are not able to limit ourselves with that use. So we're gonna, in the history, we prove that we overused our discoveries. And so in a way, the humanity is greedy and is gonna have try to go over the limits every time the humanity can go over. For example, after the First World War, everyone was like, okay, now that's it. The last war like that is too terrible it's fucked up. And 20 years later, we did a larger and greater world war, and then the same story again. And so in a way, looking at history, I don't see any hope to change direction. But at the same time, I see that humanity have find resources in the worst situation, and we are able to adapt in the worst environments. So I don't know how to answer that question.
Let's take this and let's do a little thinking exercise. So if we go to the end of the document, I'll write your question here. What is going to happen? Okay, so that's what you asked.
Yeah.
And then there are some things you can do to this question. So here, you can ask a question about this question. You can propose an interpretation to this question. You can propose an answer to the question. You can suggest a reformulation to the question. You can suggest an addition or a subtraction to it. You can ask for clarification of it or something else. So we'll just see. So we'll start with anyone who wants to do something with this question. Suggest an answer, reformulation, clarification, whatever. So just raise your hand if you want to do something. So Pierre, what do you want to do?
I want to propose an answer.
Okay, go ahead.
So based on Hannah Arendt said about science fiction, that it prepare of what we will do, that show our desire. I see the possibility to come back to the work, individual work with Earth, because we can you can see in literature of science fiction that people now are in come back to the working with Earth. I am clear, or
I'm going to ask you to synthesize it, to try to make a not too long sentence out of it.
yes.
It becomes a clear answer to this question.
Yeah. Can I read it? Write it?
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
help.
It's done.
Yeah, it's done.
Okay, so can you read it?
Yeah. Today, writing literature or science fiction talks about the comeback to work with Earth without technology. This is a big desire of our actual society, permaculture, for example. I read a little bit of science fictions today, so it's a little projection of myself, perhaps. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, fine. Now, the next person can either address the initial question or address Pierre's answer. So you're free to work with anything here on the paper. So who wants to do something? Sven, what do you want to do?
I want to ask a question to the question.
To the first question.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your question?
What could be a more important question to ask?
What could be a more important question to ask? Okay, so you think that this question is not so important?
Yeah.
Yeah. You sure there are more important questions?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. But without giving a more important question, why do you think this is not so important?
Because I think we have limited control about what is going to happen. So
because we have limited control to influence it.
Yes, I mean,
Why
I
does
think
it mean it's not important to ask it?
It's an interesting, it's curiosity. It's an interesting question out of a perspective of curiosity, but I guess practically, I think asking a different question would help me to survive better. I think knowing what will happen is not as important as another question to my survival and ability to thrive, I would say, or be happy or content.
So you're not so much into curiosity here. You want to have solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So, anyone else wants to do something? Now you can deal with the first question, or you can deal with number 1 or number 2. Ian, what do you want to do?
Maybe try to answer question number 2,
Answer question number 2.
which will be another question.
So do you have a more important question?
Yes, yeah, I think it could be more important, and it could be related, or try to.
Can you just ask the question?
Yeah. What what is the meaning of life, or rather of our life? Yeah, let's say of our life.
What is the meaning of our life? What is the meaning of our lives? Like this?
Um, yeah, or it can be singular of our life,
Life.
like the life of human beings.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Why do you think that's more important than what's going to happen?
Because I think, well, like Sven said, what's going to happen we cannot wholly control. But if first we ask this question, what is the meaning of our life, we can maybe reflect on the question, what is going to happen, or have a little bit of control, of agency, and be responsible for what's going to happen, rather than be a victim.
Mhm.
So I think one can
So you're
try
taking
to answer the first question by first.
You're taking a bit of control here with this question.
Yes.
You're just getting a bit of agency here, rather than just despair about the future.
It offers this perspective of agency, the second question, and without it, it just leaves you with the perspective of victim to the circumstances.
Okay, good. Yes. Right. So next one. Andrea, what do you want to do?
I would like to propose an answer to Ian's question.
An answer to number 3. Okay.
Yes.
So what is your answer?
My answer is the meaning of our life is asking important questions.
Do you think your first question was important?
That's an important, nice question.
Do you think what's going to happen? Do you think that's an important question?
I think so, yes.
Yes.
And also because it could
And are you
help
asking,
us to
are you suggesting this answer now? Because
reflect about the meaning of the life.
yeah, just a minute. Are you now proposing this answer because you think that this is the meaning of our life? So you just want to justify your initial question?
I was not aware about it, but I could be. I don't know. I wanted just to play with the question, but maybe there is this justification desire that I didn't notice. Yeah.
Maybe. Yes. Okay. So let's see. Who else want to do something? Okay, Sven, what do you want to do?
I want to now ask another question to the original question.
You want to, okay, ask a question to the original question.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why is it important to know what is going to happen?
Why is it important to know what is going to happen? But the initial question, does it say that it's important to know this?
No, but if you're asking the question, the mere fact that you ask a question, I think, shows that you assign some importance to it, or not?
Yeah, but if you generalize it like this and say that every question is important just because you ask it, then we can't really differentiate between important. It makes no sense to say that this is an important question if you say that, well, all questions.
Yeah. Then I'll rephrase. Why do you want to know what is going to happen?
Okay. So let's like this. Why do you want to know what is going to happen? So do you think you're asking the same thing here, or you're asking something else?
I'm asking something else now.
Yeah. Do you think importance is implied in your new question or not?
No, just what's the intention? Or what is the desire or need behind the question?
Yeah. But do you like the idea of importance? Would you want to keep it?
Yeah, it's got something to do with prioritizing, and I think it's important to prioritize.
Okay, fine. So let's give it another try. So can you ask it without presupposing that Andrea actually thinks this is important?
Yeah.
Anyway, get importance in it.
Why could it be important to know what is going to happen?
Right? Why could it be important to know what is going to happen? Okay, like this. Yes, you're happy with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. So let's see. Next one. Andrea, what do you want to do?
I want to answer Sven's question.
Of course. So, right. What is your answer?
My answer is it could be important to know what is going to happen. in order to modify the relationship with our own expectations.
Okay, can you read it again?
Yes. It could be important to know what is going to happen in order to modify the relationship with our own expectations.
Yes. Okay, you're happy with it?
Yes.
All right, good. So let's see. Who's next? Pierre, what do you want to do?
Making an interpretation of the answer of the last answer of Andrea.
An interpretation of number 6, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Can you say it first?
Yes. Mixing different expectative make people more aware.
Okay. I'll write it.
Yeah, and powerful.
You mean expectations here? Mixing different expectations?
Yes, yeah, perspective. Yeah, perspective is better. No, expectative is good.
But what, I don't know this word. What is expectative?
What you expect? Expectative, no?
Okay, so expectations.
Expectation.
Yeah. Okay, so this is an interpretation of Andreas' answer.
Yes, I think there is the concept of awareness who is adding.
Yeah. Is there
And the
also,
idea of mixing
also
also.
the concept of mixing, or the idea of
And
mixing?
yeah, mixing also, yeah.
Where do you find it in Andreas' answer?
There are two expectations. The expectations of the person who proposed the answer, and the expectation of the person who asked. So there are a mixing of at least two expectations. A different perspective.
Where do you see the concept of asking in Andreas' answer? Is there someone asking something here?
Yes, it is implies. It's not writing, but it refers to the question. What is going to happen.
Yeah. But do you remember what he's answering here? What question is this an answer to?
Why could it be important to know what is going to happen?
Yeah, and in this question, is there someone asking something?
No. Yes. True. Yeah.
So here, yeah, you're referring to the initial question, but in this idea, it could be
Yes.
important to know what is going to happen, and here's the reason why it could be important to know what is going to happen. We don't necessarily have someone asking something here.
Yeah, but yeah, if it's a relationship, the word relationship means there is two things. Because if there is no two, there is no relation.
Yeah, but what you want here is different expectations. And indeed, we have expectations in plural. But where is the mixing of expectations?
Mixing is an adding, but the idea that there is many expectations, yes, it is in the relationship. If you modify your relationship with your expectations, it means there is other expectations.
Yeah. So what is being mixed here?
The mix is an adding of myself. It's there is no mixing in the answer. I make an interpretation of it.
Yeah. But do you think the mixing is actually implied here? Or is this an overinterpretation?
Uh,
If I modify my relationship with my two expectations, am I necessarily
yes.
mixing these expectations, or is it possible to keep them separate?
Yeah, it's not necessarily a mixing. You can modify something without taking the other expectation.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a possibility.
It's a possibility.
And here in Andreas' answer, do you think that he is actually, what he actually means is that we should mix them to become more aware, or it's just a possibility that we could read into it?
Yeah, it's a possibility. You can say power also. Yes, it's a possibility. It's just an interpretation.
Yeah, but then mixing would be, is the risk that there's an overinterpretation here.
Yes.
If you don't speak clearly, if you don't have any clear evidence that
Yeah.
it gives you any real reason to believe that this is what Andrea meant. Or do you have any strong reason to believe that Andrea wants us to mix them?
I think I come back on the idea that there is no mixing. It is just a possibility. I think it is not a possibility. It is. If you put two things together, then it is a mix.
But how do you know that he's putting his expectations together? Instead of just modifying his relationship first with the one, and then he modifies his relationship to the other, and then he does it to the third.
Again, sorry, I don't. I haven't understood.
Yeah, how do you know that he's putting his expectations together? Maybe he's just first modifying his relationship with number one, and then he's doing it with number two, and then with number three.
Mixing is just you put some. It's not you can mix and then come back on your own expectation and change it. The mix doesn't implies. Yes, okay.
No, but
Perhaps
how do you know that he's looking at all his expectations together and not one at a time?
He make a comparison. There is some comparison
With what?
between
Between what?
the relationship of himself and the relationship of the other.
Yeah, but
The expectation.
how is that mixing the expectations? Is it possible that he's checking his relationship to his expectations one at a time?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
then he's not mixing his expectations, if this is the case.
Okay, it's not mixing it, perhaps. Yeah, okay. Comparing is better than mixing. So it's another expectation. It's over interpretation.
Yeah, let's see. Comparing different expectations makes people more aware. Yeah, it makes more sense, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Good. Yeah, so let's just finish with a comment here from Andrea.
Oh, I'm a minute late, but I wanted to propose a reformulation
Of what?
of your sentence.
Yeah. First, just tell us, this mixing different expectations, does it make sense to you?
No.
No, okay. So what's your reformulation of?
My reformulation is dealing with the probable consequence related to a certain problem makes people more aware.
Yeah, can you write it?
Yes. Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think this is more in line with your idea?
Yes. I mean, that's another nice idea, but I think this is more central related to what I proposed before. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, fine. So we will stop here. Yes. So any comments before we stop? Pierre, go ahead.
Yes, I have this idea that more there are people thinking about what's going to happen, more there are possibility to find not the better one, but combinations to take the perfect idea. So the idea of combination, I think, makes sense. Mixing is perhaps strange, but combination, I have this idea that it's better than just say this is better than the other. So it's like a structure. There is some different ingredients.
So you say we have more choice, more ideas to choose from and to combine.
Yes, there is combined. Yes.
Yeah.
It's not just comparing and modifying. It's yes, you modify, but you yes, okay. Yeah, I finished, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. Fine. Good. Something else? Andrea.
Yeah, a short one. And at one point, I had the impression that we were, me included, a bit trapped in our own opinion. We were trying to expressing our own opinion. And at one point, you proposed the thinking exercise, and I thought that is exactly what we needed in in the humanity problem that Arendt raised in this our text, that we are entrapped in our own doing, and we would need someone who proposed okay, let's stop it and try to think a bit. So
yeah, you were becoming a bit heavy here when you talked about the future of humanity and what's things.
Yes.
But yes, a bit of rationality here could be a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. Something else? Yeah, Sven?
These questions about what will happen, it's that paradox of, if you know what's going to happen, then you will probably act differently, and then something else is going to happen. And I think that's what I read that. I don't know if anybody read that book by Yuval Harari, the one where he paints some situations about the potential future, Homo Deus, I think it's called. And he explains that I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm saying this is a likelihood. If we continue to behave in this way, this will probably happen. So that you can now decide whether this is what you want to happen, and then you can potentially change it. So I do think it's important to hypothesize based on the knowledge of what is happening now, to hypothesize potential futures, so that we can act accordingly.
So you changed your mind here. You think it's an important question now?
Yes, I guess I was seeing it from more of a maybe a spiritual level, of trying to not be too concerned with the future and rather focus on now, on what is happening right now, and investigate that. That's the perspective I was coming from.
Yes. Okay, but you showed now the relevancy of this question.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Good. Something else? Yeah, Ian, go ahead.
Just a short comment about, again, what's going to happen. It reminded me of the ancient Greek tragedies, when the characters asked what's going to happen. They found out about the bad thing that's going to happen. They tried to avoid it all their life, and then it happened.
Of course, it's your destiny, so what can you do?
I think it's your destiny when you compulsively try to avoid it, and it's about this fear that we talked before. So this paradox, for me, it looked interesting.
Yeah.
The more you ask, the more you try to avoid it, the more you slip towards this possibility.
Yeah, so maybe by answering what's going to happen, you create an idea, or then unconsciously you're going to make it happen.
Yes.
You already thought it.
Indeed.
Yeah, okay, nice. So we stop here. So I'll see you next week for the last session. Yeah. All right. So till then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Night.